Administration welcomes you to the inaugural Raider Hall of Fame night. We want to make this night to be special for all. Quickly, before we get started, there are some thank yous to be made. We want to thank two of our teachers in particular, Mr. Greg Hazelbeck and Todd Nathus. We also want to thank Neal Brothers and Balfour and Regal Awards. Finally, you will know when you exit tonight, there's a beautiful display case for the Raider Hall of Fame. You'll see that in the main lobby. That was made by one of our students, Mr. Grant Courier. Grant, could you please come out here for a minute, please? Grant, come on out.
That's awesome. Oak Park
Grant,
Eagles are the best.
Accept our thanks, and you did a great job on that display case. Congratulations. And now for the ceremony. It's going to be emceed by our own Dave Stewart, proud Raider, class of 1975.
Thank you, John. Our first Hall of Fame inductee is from the class of 1995, Kate Benson Allen, born to be a Raider. Her parents, Steve and Kathy, were both in the class of 1969, the school's first graduating class to go through here those first 3 years, 67, 68, and 69. 40 years ago, girls didn't have the same athletic opportunities they do in high school today. Kate took full advantage of her timing. She led the volleyball team and the basketball team to the state's Final Four all 4 years. Volleyball state champs in 1993. In her 100th and final basketball game, South beat Shawnee Mission West for the state championship, the only time South was able to beat West in her high school career. First team All-State, all classes, all 4 years. Miss Kansas Basketball 1995. Kate is still the all-time leading scorer in Kansas 6A history. She later played at the University of Nebraska, went to the NCAA tournament 3 times, and as a senior was nominated for NCAA Woman of the Year. What Kate remembers and treasures most about her days in South, things beyond athletics, being an officer in Stuco, choir, KSMS, and people like Ron Miller, the only girls basketball coach in Raider history, somebody who served as a role model for hundreds of young women. Kate flourished in what she called the school's positive culture, getting support in every way from the administration, custodial staff, faculty, and students. She learned how to be a winner here, how to stay balanced. Kate learned about sacrifice at home and parents who burned all their vacation time so she could play in tournaments in a bunch of two-horse towns. She was not cheap to keep her around. Kate said she needed new basketball shoes every 4 months. What is going on with your feet, Kate? When Kate was a Shawnee Mission South student, one of her dad's favorite expressions finally made sense. It applies today. People don't remember what you do, they remember how you made them feel. Kate's made people feel special for a lifetime, giving back over the past 13 years as a youth coach, sharing what's most important, enthusiasm and a positive attitude. She is a Hall of Famer in every way. One day will be part of a 3-generation South family. She lives in the district. Her kids will go to South. In a while, they're 1 and 3. Please welcome into the Raiders' first Athletic Hall of Fame from 1995, Kate Benson. Our second Hall of Fame inductee represents the 80s in the class of 1980. Clint Johnson, one of the most decorated track and field athletes in school history, and that is saying something. As a junior and again as a senior, Clint won state titles in the shot put and discus. That was 30 years ago. The state records in both are still standing. In 1980, his shot put was 15 feet longer than last year's 6A state champion, 46 feet longer in the discus. As a senior, the Sports Commission recognized Clint as Kansas Athlete of the Year when he was runner-up for the top national high school honors. Only 2 Shawnee Mission athletes are in the state's Hall of Fame in Topeka. Clint is one of them. Johnson was an honor student, active in the FCA, All-Sunflower League in basketball. One of his favorite South memories came from the 1978 state track meet when Clint, Scott Lofquist, and Jim Bell went 1-2-3, 1-2-3 in the shot and discus. Because of that, the Raiders won the team title by a ridiculous margin. Clint's always been gracious, giving credit to those who helped him along the way, like the day Mark Sutherland showed up at Indian Creek Junior High to show him how to throw. He wanted to be Mark Sutherland, and he wanted to be like South assistants Dick Booth and Scott Calder, coaches who gave Clint that special ability to figure out what it took to go beyond the call of duty. Those assistants did that. They truly got him excited about throwing and about track and field. It's not surprising Clint came back to South as a track assistant. It looks glamorous when you're working with people like Justin Holmes, who was able to win 3 state titles in the shot and the discus, or Alex Richards, who set girls' school records. But Clint's always reached out to any athlete who was willing to work hard and wanted to get better. That might be more rewarding work. Please welcome our second Athletic Hall of Famer from the class of 1980, Clint Johnson. Our third inductee is from the 70s in the class of 1974, represented tonight by Coach Davis and some of the members of the 74 team, Coach Claypool as well, Steve Little, our third inductee. Steve was heart and soul of the Raiders' first state championship team in football. The 73 Raiders finished 11-0. They won 6 games by shutout, giving up 33 points in 11 games. They shut out Shawnee Mission West in the state title game, 28-0. Steve was the first and only player ever to be All-Sunflower League at 4 positions, quarterback, defensive back, punter, and kicker. He probably would have been All-State and All-Metro in those 4, but they ignored kickers for some unknown reason. Steve was an All-American at the University of Arkansas and still holds the NCAA record when he kicked a 67-yard field goal. He later became the first kicker ever to be taken in the first round of the NFL draft. Steve had an amazing personality. His whole body seemed to smile, as Coach Davis remembered. Just because he was smiling, it didn't mean he wasn't competing. Steve was such a weapon with his foot. He'd kick it to somebody or away from somebody, but he loved getting the green light to stick it in the end zone. Steve would get the kicking team together and say, "Hey, diddle diddle, it's straight down the middle," and then boom the football into the end zone. He led by being a great teammate and had a nickname for everybody. John Farber was Chickster, Stumpy, Mark Burkhardt, Skip Johnson, Skipper Doodle, and Craig Huntley was Red on the Head. One game in particular, Huntley was getting a lot of work just running plays into the huddle, not carrying the football. So Red on the Head decided to change the play so he'd get the football. South runs the play, Huntley scores a touchdown. Steve goes to the sideline after the extra point. Coach Davis was waiting, and he went nuts for Steve running the wrong play. "What were you thinking? That's not the play I wanted." Steve looked over at Huntley and figured out he changed the play. On the way to the huddle, Steve smiled at Coach Davis, but he was getting barbecued and said, "My mistake, Coach. I messed up. Sorry about that." Coach Davis, Skip Johnson, never found out. Steve Little always had your back. He was that kind of a teammate. In 1999, South retired Steve's number 12 shortly after his death, 19 years after being paralyzed in a car accident. Since then, we've honored 10 Steve Little Scholarship winners, which makes it a living legacy. This is another way to remember somebody who loved this school. All of his coaches and all of his teammates, some here tonight. They are with Coach Davis to represent the Little family, which unfortunately was stranded in Arkansas by today's freezing rain. On Steve's induction into the first Athletic Hall of Fame at Shawnee Mission South, Steve Little, our third inductee.